We're in the same vineyard as this morning, and you can see here, for example, every other row, there's a fescue that we have planted for Mike in the winter time in November, October after harvest, and he has let it gone to seed and to regenerate. If you could tolerate the weed pressure and the looks of things, it's a good way to help slow down the vigor of vines, especially on a year as we've had this past where it rained almost every week, measurable amounts of moisture all the way into May and the first week of June. A cover crop like this thrives on that and sucks up the extra moisture that is being put on the ground. Some people may say that's a good thing, and some say it's a bad thing. I personally like cover crops that are maintained as a crop in the field, because even if it was raining and Mike needed to get sprays on over here or insecticides or whatever, he was able to get on this ground, whereas he cultivates as the adjacent rows are. It's very difficult when you've got 2 or 3 inches of rain because you're making ruts and compacting that soil. Again, he opted not to mow this, and that's his decision. You may have to tolerate with a little bit more of vermin problems such as deer mice or gophers or even just regular mice and snakes. But again, your environment, in my opinion, is very good. Here's some weeds that still have their seed heads on them for this coming fall. So these are all just got lots of seed on here that are just laid over from the tractor. Weeds in this stage, other than maybe fire problem, is not a problem. You know, if as long as somebody's not smoking and throws their cigarette out here, this is not a problem. And it is a benefit to the soil, because now that the weeds are dried, they are not robbing the vines from any more nutrients or water. They are dried, they're inert, they're just sitting here, and they've done their job, quite honestly. With these young vines, this clone of Cabernet as well as this rootstock, you can see that these clusters are much larger in size. They're longer than my hand. The berries are larger than pea size, and these clusters are a little bit more tight right now. These berries will still double probably in size between now and harvest time. So mounding of the clusters and avoiding that is very important as the crew is passing through, or removing wings. In other words, they're removing parts of these shoulders or wings, if I could separate this, like this, and just cutting those off to allow a little bit more space between the clusters. And sometimes they'll move the clusters around a little bit too. In general, we only want 2 clusters per shoot, per cane, and this cane happens to have 3. 1, 2, and 3. So the crew will come through and remove one of those clusters. If the shoot or the cane is weak, they'll leave 1 cluster on it and ensure good maturity. Again, here's another strong cane that has 3 clusters. 1, 2, and 3. One of those clusters will come out, probably this one right here in the middle, just to kind of minimize that mounding effect. And some of this will be separated and or removed. Like I say, the shoulders, we call shoulders or wings. Sometimes shoulders can be as large as the main structure of the cluster itself, and those will come off as well. Most all of these canes were topped, cut. You know, they exceeded the 3-foot zone, and so they just got a cut with the shears. But a lot of them also did not get cut, and they slowed down, and that's perfect. The fact that these tendrils are just a little bit lucid, and some of them are dried or falled off, that's an indication to me that the vines are in the slowed down phase, or the lag phase as far as vine growth, and putting their energy into sizing the fruit. The leaf and laterals on the west side have not been removed on the afternoon hot side of the vines. We want to maintain that so we don't get sunburn on very hot, dry days. Whereas on our morning side of these young vines, we have removed laterals and leaves.